Hi everyone, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Mom.
And this is Millennial and Mom. And in today's video, we're going to review Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 8, Home is Where Your Spouse Is. And all I know in this episode, people were lying. Let's get into the video.
On this episode, we recap Brandon and Taylor. Taylor's at the bar with her friends, and they're talking about what happened during the honeymoon and during the marriage. So they asked Taylor, so how'd you feel when you were walking down the aisle? Taylor was like, oh, I was a little nervous, but nothing too crazy. And then, they're just talking, like they didn't think they should be able to go through with it and everything. And then they jumped to, well, how was the honeymoon? And Taylor's like, well, there was no sex or anything, but the honeymoon started off good. And so when they right? So when they got to the honeymoon, the first day was okay, and then the next morning they woke up, and she decided to do diary cam while Brandon was sleeping because he was snoring. And when he woke up, he didn't know what was going on, and he got really mad at her. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, and I thought it was crazy because you, sir, know that there's going to be cameras in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And your wife, your new wife's trying to be all cute, make little videos and stuff just in case y'all make it past the 2 months or whatever, and you gonna get mad.
And the thing is, right, and it is documented the whole entire 8 weeks until decision day.
But it's not like he just got upset with her and then he talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
He ignored the girl
for the whole day
and then threw shade at her when all the couples were sitting around at the table. Well, not the table,
just in the beach area,
the pool chairs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If I was Taylor, I would have been done. I would all right, bet.
Because she was trying to make, she knew he was upset. She wasn't sure why he was upset, but she knew he was upset, and she was trying to make nice and let me buy you a drink and everything. He was all rude, no, and turned around and bought the same drink from the bar,
just like a little kid.
He did act like a little kid. He's too old to be acting like that. So anyway, she goes on to say, towards the end of the evening, he felt remorse, so he apologized and everything. So later on, they had a good night. So the next day comes and goes. They go on a boating trip with the other couples and things like that. They have a good time again. So the thing is, on the last day of the honeymoon, here we go again with the camera and production. But she didn't feel him this time sleeping. It was just in general. I guess Brandon was just tired of the production crew being there and being on camera.
No, at first, when they first were there, he was to the producer, oh, is the breakfast coming? You said there was going to be breakfast.
Right. Did you order breakfast, Brandon?
But they ordered them breakfast.
No, I know,
so he was waiting for it. But he was so rude with it, so rude and so aggressive. And it's well, you don't really know what they do on the show, behind the scenes.
Right.
But you're going to be on camera. What is the issue? Why did you sign up? Why? Tell me why.
Right. It's called Married at First Sight. That follows you for 8 weeks. And I'm sure you saw the show before you came on the show. And if you didn't, I'm sure they explained it to you when you signed up to marry a stranger.
As soon as you signed the paperwork to apply to be on the show, getting interviewed and stuff like that.
Right. So then again, she's still explaining the end of the honeymoon. So he gets mad and he's blocking. He leaves the room. He's trying to go downstairs because he's again tired of the cameras, and he's blocking production from following him. And production's telling him, "This is our job. We have to film you." Mm-hmm. And he's right holding up the elevator, things like that. So he leaves, go along his merry way, and so it's about time to go. And Taylor's in the room. She's packing. She's like, well, I might as well pack his stuff. I'm like, girl, he would have came to pack his own stuff. It was me. Technically, he's still a stranger. And if you're going to act like that, really, in the first 3 days of marriage, what does that say?
Right. And then she's letting him know, oh, yeah, he basically said, F everybody. I'll be cool when I get back to D.C. or whatever.
Yeah, because they're from Washington, D.C., all the couples.
And then her friends are just looking
right. They were
can we get another shot?
Right. But before that, they was F who? You too? She's like, yeah, girl, everybody. They was nah, so they get back to D.C., and that's where we pick up. Next couple is Austin and Jessica. So Jessica is coming in from work and she sees Austin in the kitchen, and guess what? Austin cooked dinner. She is not used to a man cooking dinner for her. This was a first. And she enjoys and appreciates it. She's like, oh, babe, what you cook? He's like, I didn't really hear what he said, but it turns out he's made spaghetti. It looked like it was meatballs and mixed vegetables and rice, stuff like that. Anyways, she enjoyed that, and she thought it was a nice gesture. And they just started talking about their day, about how long that does it take to get ready, because Jessica is a nurse, and so she leaves earlier in the morning than Austin does. And so she was just curious, like, how many times he hit the snooze button, and it turns out he hits it pretty frequently. And then
I think he only said 2.
What's that?
He only hit it 2 times.
Well, that's more than once.
I hit it like...
You hit it a lot of times.
10 times.
Right. But anyways, they go along and tell about their day, and Austin saying, like, how long it takes her to make the bed, like 30 minutes. Like, why would it take you 30 minutes to make the bed?
I don't know.
Is he ironing the sheets or something? I don't know. But anyways, they have a pretty good dinner, and, they go along their evening, and then we go along to see what's in the next one.
Yeah, they're very cool, calm, collective couple.
Very cool, calm.
I appreciate it because these other couples on here is a mess.
So far, they're a mess. So far. But we'll see as the weeks go along. They have 6 weeks left to get married, so we'll see what's going on after that. Next couple we see is Katie and Derek, and I got to put my glasses on for this. What do you think?
Well, Katie and Derek has to be my least favorite couple. And I'm not saying that off of Derek's end for right now. It's only for what Katie has shown. Because from the beginning, as soon as I found out that she was still contacting her ex, and her ex just said that he loved her and that's what she was waiting for and all that other stuff, so she felt confused. Like, why are you on here? And if the experts knew that, why are you letting her continue? Because now you're over here making him look like a fool, like you leading him on, So they're definitely my least favorite couple, and she hasn't improved any for me. And in this segment, she just
She hasn't. So Katie and her mom meet up for lunch, okay, and they recap about what you just said about. Actually, they did meet with Pastor Cal, and they're talking about. Katie talked about how she may still be in love with the man who she broke up with before coming on the show, okay. And so then, we jump back to Katie and her mom. And so Katie's mom asked her, how's it going with Derek? And she said, Derek's pretty easygoing and calm, things like that. And Katie goes on to say that she doesn't like easygoing and calm. It turns out that Derek likes to tell Katie every bit of his business. Like when
she said that he was too comfortable.
Yeah.
I need her to pick what she wants. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right, but she doesn't like the fact that he tells her, when he's walking the dog, he had to come inside too because he had to use the bathroom really bad, things like that. I mean, that might be a little too comfortable for some people. I mean, they've technically known each other for about 14 days. But then again, the recap says Katie's heart may not be in it. We'll have to wait and see as the show progresses. No? You don't think so?
No, I don't. Because she already started off wrong. She wasn't in it from the beginning. As soon as she texts her ex about what was going on in the show, about what she was doing, why she would do that, I don't know. And then he said what he said to her. She was basically like all in love with him still.
Then it shows Derek going to lunch with his dad, and Derek says that, what his dad says to him is pretty much gold. Like, he feels his dad has the best opinions and, wouldn't lead him astray. I would never lead you astray.
He kind of reminds me of somebody.
Who?
He reminds me of one of my teachers, but
Derek or Derek's dad?
Derek's dad, but that have nothing to do with nothing.
No, it doesn't. But anyways, Derek's dad wants to know how the marriage is going to. Derek thinks it's going pretty good. But he does think that Katie needs to have a little bit more substance. And I find that odd. Because Katie thinks Derek's too comfortable, but Derek thinks Katie needs more substance. What is that? It's like that's not a meeting of the minds. That's two people on two different playing fields. Because see, in the beginning when they got together, even though Katie's heart is with someone else, I still thought Derek was into Katie. Now it doesn't feel like he's into Katie. Right. Because he goes on to tell his dad that You know, he doesn't even know if he can fall in love with Katie. He thinks he can fall in love between 6 months to a year. Well, I'm here to tell you, Derek, that love has no time limit. You know love when you know love. You can literally. Some people say you know, love at first sight.
That's why it's married at first sight.
Right. You know, it doesn't be like, oh, you know, it's June now. Do I feel love? I mean, it doesn't work like that. What do you think?
I mean, I've never been in love, so I don't really know how to indicate it off of anything, but I feel like...
But you know there's no time limit. Like, there's no such thing as like, okay, I'm with someone now and then like by October I should be in love. There's no like, you know, October 15th I'm gonna be in love.
I just feel like on the show, these people have supremely,
Yeah.
there we go, high expectations. And it's okay to have expectations, but their expectations are too high on this show because, you know, things do happen over time and you do have to try, you know, and you have to talk to your partner, engage and communicate.
That's true. And Katie goes on to talk to her mom in the next scene. Her and her mom talk about, you know, does she feel like that may be a problem for her? And Katie's like, yeah, it probably is. Because she doesn't want to feel like she's gave her heart away to someone that's not Derek, meaning her first love. And her mom tells her, you know what, Katie? You know, that's not how it's supposed to be. And her mom says to her, you know, I don't think there's any better out there. And Katie gets upset to the point where she's like, I'm 26 years old, Mom. You don't have to be a pessimist. What do you think about that? If I said that to you.
I don't know. Maybe you're being kind of shady.
Condescending a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, her mom does go on to say that she's been married twice before, so she could kind of see, you know, things in a different light. And, you know, Katie threw a little bit of shade. She's like, well, you know, about, you know, because you got married and had a baby on the way, maybe that's why you had to get married. But I don't think it's about that. The thing is, her mom probably knows about her prior relationship and where her heart really is. And that she feels that since they met Derek, he comes across as a good guy, comes from a good family. And maybe that's what she means. Maybe she sees something in Derek that she never had.
So now the husbands and wives meet up to discuss what's been going on since they moved in.
And I'm going to need my glasses for this one because it's quite a bit. So we start off with Mika. Mika says her and Michael are now in the same room, in the same apartment together. Because in the beginning, during the honeymoon, which is on the previous episodes, you know, they were one of those couples who weren't speaking either. They were in separate hotel rooms while they were on their honeymoon. And you know, they had a conflict of interest of what was said and what wasn't said while they were on the plane going to their honeymoon. Now, how do you have an argument on the plane to your honeymoon?
Because he wanted
some extras. We'll call them extras. Right. And she wasn't ready for that. So Mika's trying to say that they've come to an agreement and they are now in the same apartment, same room together, and they're trying to make things work. And next we talk to Michael, and he's with the guys, and he's also co-signing. He's saying how he's now more comfortable with Mika, and they're trying to give it a go, you know, because they are trying to make this process work, and that's what they really want. They really want to go with the process. Do you agree?
Only time will tell.
Anyways, Mindy tells the ladies that Zach, her husband, never moved into the apartment. Now, what's the whole point of being married at first sight? You couldn't even get past the honeymoon. And he decided he wasn't going to move in. And his reasons were he just doesn't feel comfortable. And the way that the guys looked at him was like...
Someone said that. I forgot what his name was. What's his name? Derek?
Mm-hmm.
The one with the blonde hair?
No, Austin.
Austin, he's like, oh, I just feel like he just talks in circles, so I just tune him out. I'm like, he does.
Zach tells the guys the reason why he didn't move in because he feels like he's in his head a lot. And I too, just like Katie, that's what Derek, who you were thinking of, I think he may have had something previous too. That's what it seems like. That's my gut feeling. Derek tells the guys that he and Katie, you know, may not necessarily be on the same page. He doesn't feel like he can love her in the 8 weeks. That's the same thing that he told his dad at the restaurant they were in. And the guys were, you know, kind of taken aback by that too. You know, again, there's no timeline for love. You either love someone or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Next, you go to Jessica, and they jump back to recap when her and Austin talk about Pastor Cal comes to visit because, again, Jessica is a registered nurse. And Austin, I believe, is some type of system
It's
engineer.
a network engineer.
Right. Well, the thing with them is Jessica makes, at the moment, more money than Austin. And she was afraid, or maybe Austin was afraid, that it may be a problem. And so they talked to Pastor Cal about, have you talked about finances? And Jessica was saying how, he may not be making this much money forever, but as long as he has drive and ambition, she has faith in that. So does it come across that Austin has faith in that, or does it come across that he's comfortable with what he's doing?
I don't know. I think maybe he just enjoys what he does right now.
I think so too.
And whatever money he makes, he's gonna make.
Mm-hmm. Right. So then we jump to the men again, and guess who walks up? Brandon. Everyone's looking for Brandon, because the last time the men and the women saw Brandon, he
cut up.
Acting a fool.
Cut a fool.
A straight fool. On the bus coming home.
And I hope he apologized to production and to them, but we'll see if he does, or maybe he did off camera.
Right. So Brandon was saying how he had just got off work and he wanted to meet up with the fellas, as if, he didn't know they was filming, which is part of his problem. He don't like to be on camera because he's there, but he's not kind of like doing the side eye kind of thing, So he does go on to say how, yeah, you guys heard what happened. Well, how can we not hear what happened? We're on a shuttle bus going to the airport, and you talk about bleep this, bleep that. Everybody on here.
Bleep you.
He was like bleep you to everybody. Everybody. But anyways, they got past that, so they asked him, what was going on. Was he back in the house? Well, moved into the apartment? Because he was another one who didn't move in right away. He got to the Washington, D.C. airport where they're from, and he bounced. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what is the name of the show again? I was just too through. I was outdone by this. Mm-hmm. So anyways, so he was saying how he came back over and talked to Taylor and Pastor Cal, but he didn't say talk to them. He said he was more like ambushed. Again, Brandon, you're on the show. They're not ambushing you. They're professionals who are trying to help you with find the love of your life. Okay. So anyways, Brandon's back in the house, and he's talking about how he's not necessarily sharing the same room with Taylor right now, but he's in the spare bedroom. I just want to know where he thought he was going to be. What about you?
I just don't even know with him.
Brandon, needs to settle down. Even Taylor was saying to the girls how, she wants the nice, sweet Brandon, the one that they matched her up with. But again, they matched them up by paper. They can't really give you personality traits until you come in contact with someone. And I'm going to need Brandon to settle down.
Right.
All the way down, Brandon. Settle down.
Then we do like a little brief segment with Mindy and
Zach.
And Zach. They're one of my least favorite couple too. And all they were basically talking about was how, they're just gonna keep doing baby steps.
Well, Mindy said she was committed, and she was disappointed as to Zach as to why he wasn't as committed as her. And Zach says he wants to take baby steps.
But those baby steps are more like snails.
True. And so Mindy reminds him that they are still married, though.
Yeah, well, he put his ring back on and got it clean, so I guess that's a baby step, too.
I guess so. Well, we'll wait and see. Mindy said that she'll be paid. Well, we don't know at the end of the 8 weeks, but Mindy said she'll be paid. Then we roll into Mika and Michael, so now it's Friend and Family Day. But before we get into the friends and family coming over, Mika notices that Michael doesn't have his wedding ring on. And she's like, so can you tell me why you don't have your wedding ring on? And Michael's pretty much saying how when they were on their honeymoon in Panama, how he felt like he failed. And that's when he took it off. Well, she said then, if you take yours off, I'm taking mine off. And she was just kind of concerned as to like, every time you get upset or have some type of emotion, are you going to take your ring off? Being married is a 24-hour process. That's not what you do. Mm-hmm. So anyways, they go on to commit to putting their rings back on and work through whatever they're going to work through, issues that arise that come along. So then the next thing you know, we see their friends and family come over. They're having a good time. They're playing games, having Q&A, and they're just having a really good time sitting around. And then at the end of the segment...
I actually believe that they're a real couple for a second.
For a real second. For a hot second, they did look like a real couple. But there was still some tension because I believe that Michael needs to open up some more. He does. He's still reserved and standoffish to me. I think he does things so he doesn't rock the boat. but he wanted to put his ring on to show that he's committed. I think he wants to be committed, but I still feel he's a little bit unsure. So then we move to the end of the segment where Michael asks Mika mom for advice on how to, proceed. And she tells him, he needs to be patient. The same thing he told her, be patient, take things day to day. And we'll see how that works.
Mm-hmm. Now we go to Mindy and Zach, and they're at the bar with their friends, or is it just her friends?
It's their friends.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's not even his friends. And they're playing Jenga, and she's like, I kind of like this side of Zach now because he's interacting with her friends, seem more vibrant and all the other stuff.
I just thought it was regular. I do think Zach is there trying to save face because even though he's not attracted to Mindy, I just don't think he wants to come across as a bad guy to her friends. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. But one of her friends called BS because she asked him, "Oh, so how's the apartment that you don't go to?" And he looks at her like,
"Yeah, but right." But the look he gives Mindy is like you said that to them.
So he basically like takes some time to absorb what just happened. He's like, I've been there. It's nice, but I'm a be there too.
What's the key word though? I've been there.
Right.
I don't stay there, but I've been there.
You should be living there. So he said to her friends like, "Oh, I did this basically to like create space." And one of her friends was like, "Well, did you think about creating space before you got married? Like, did you think that was gonna happen?" And he was like, "No." She was like, "So what's the difference now?" And I don't even think he gave a good reason.
He didn't give a good reason, but her friend also wanted him to know that you don't need to have space, but if you do, it is 2 bedrooms. You can sleep in a spare room. And he didn't have an answer for that. And which is true.
Right. So her friends basically don't trust him. She said that he just gives pretty words.
He does. He does talk in circles, and he does use lots of big words you may need a thesaurus for.
Next, we go to Austin and Jessica, and as soon as they came on the screen, I'm like, this is boring.
No, don't call them boring. Right now, they're just middle of the road.
No, they're not boring. Just their house is boring because they just gave a house tour. And even when one of their friends walked in, he was like, "Is this Bible study?" Like,
he was like, "The party's here.
Like,
let's get some beer pong."
Yeah, let's get the party started. And so they definitely started to become more interacting and lively with the friends because the friends were just chilling. Like,
well, sometimes everyone's friends. You have your friends. He has his friends. That doesn't mean they're on the same page because Austin is laid back anyways. I can't see him being all rowdy.
That's true.
So
when they separate into each group, the friends ask Austin, like, "So what's the biggest surprise that you got from it?" And he basically says, like, "Oh, I didn't really expect that we were going to match so perfectly." And I thought that was cute.
That too. And their friends were surprised that, they give a house tour and like, this is the bedroom, things like that. Like, "Oh, the bed's made." Just like, "Oh yeah, I made the bed." Mm-hmm. He's not used to making his bed. He's not used to doing any other things. I guess he's not used to cleaning up.
So moving along, we go to Brandon and Taylor. And for this housewarming, it's also her aunt's birthday. So they did like a little mashup theme since all their families are getting together. Mm-hmm. And she basically tells her friends, like, don't grill him too hard. Because I know you're going to say something, but don't go too hard in.
Right. But wouldn't your friends say something too?
I would definitely say something.
For sure.
And I'm going to go hard. Because I just want to know why you think it's okay to treat my friend this way. Especially because you already know what you signed up for. But
so everyone comes in. Well, before that, the dog that she has looks like a border collie, kind of like a Lassie that's old school, is like humping on Brandon's leg. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to figure out why. Like, "Oh, here goes the dog again. Here goes the dog." And I'm like, put that dog outside.
Right.
But then Taylor says, the dog is, she looked up humping and the dog is trying to assert dominance. I thought, the dog may need to be neutered. But dominance, what's she trying to say about Brandon?
You know exactly what she's trying to say.
Hey. But anyway.
But, so the friends come, the mom comes, her aunt comes, whole family comes. So they're sitting around chilling, and he already knows what's about to happen. So he's like, "Let's get into it. Let's bring on the comments."
He's also nonchalant to me, too. Like, he has a big facade going on. He's like, yeah, I don't like that about him because that seems sneaky to me. So.
And her friends were like, so what happened in Panama? He's like, I kind of lost my temper one time and I apologize.
Her friend was like, one time?
Right. And then his aunt interjected and was like, oh, I know Brandon the best. He's not like that. What exactly did she say?
Huh?
She said something.
What'd you say she said?
Oh, she said that she is his soundboard.
That's what she said.
I had to write that down because I'm like...
That's a quote. And you know what? She said all that when she interjected in. He's sitting right next to his mom. Mm-hmm. He's sitting right on himself like we're sitting. He's sitting right next to his mom with his hands folded. His mom was listening to. And it's not like, we don't know that type of Brandon. He would never. See, those are the type of things you say with people who, not saying Brandon, but in general, things you may see on the news or hear the radio or Instagram or whatever, how people do things. Could be a crime, could be just anything, and like, oh, so and so would never. That's what she was trying to say about Brandon. And she was also saying how, I talked to Brandon in depth and he told me everything. I don't think he told you everything, because he sat there and told the friends and everyone else in the room he lost his temper once. It wasn't once.
Right.
It was more than once, and the most crisis he was in was on the day that they left, when he refused to let production film. He's holding up the elevator and cussing out everybody. Bleep, 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 bleep. Mm-hmm. Did I say bleep? On the shuttle. So right. I don't think he told the whole side of the story. I really don't.
But Taylor did interject and say, I have my issues too that I'm working towards to move past.
Yeah.
And basically said like they're moving past it. So he was happy with her that she actually stuck up for him this time. Because he didn't feel like she stuck up for him last time.
Right.
So then we go to Derek and Katie's house. So Derek and Katie's friends all walk in, and their friends are like, oh, how's everything going? How's the couples? And she gonna say, oh, I think we're doing the best. I mean, I guess you're supposed to think that because you're in a relationship.
Right.
But
you know what? I think maybe why Katie said that was because anytime the couple has met, whether it be on the actual honeymoon or even the different meetups that they've had on previous episodes, like her and Derek were doing quote unquote the most because they were engaging, they were doing things together, they were even like, having relations and, sex, stuff like that, and just doing things, the day-to-day things. So to them, they are doing the best. Mm-hmm. So, but deep down with the issues that Katie has, they're not really doing the best. But
yeah, so Katie takes her friends into the room, her girlfriends, but leaves one of Derek's friends that's a girl out.
Well, this was a trip. This made me, she was like, come on, girls, let's go to the room, let's talk. And Derek's friend, the only female of the friends that was there on Derek's side, she was like, do you mean me too? She's like, not right now. I thought that was rude.
I mean, I guess because she wants to talk to her friends first, so
No, that was rude.
But, since it is a group setting where we're getting to know each other, she should have
exactly. The girls need to come because that made the girl feel left out. She's like, oh, you mean me too? She's like, no. And I'm like, really? Because like you said, if you want to get to know their friends, you're married now, bring her in the room so she can get to know you too and your friends. Because if you're incorporating your lives together, it's a friend thing. Mm-hmm.
So they were talking about basically the sex life, and she's like, yeah, we had sex on the honeymoon, but it's more so that I engaged in it, and she wants
not engaged in it, that she started it.
That's the same thing.
Okay,
she engaged in it first, but does that make sense to you? It makes sense to me.
It does, but it's not the right word.
But she wanted him to
initiated it.
It means the same thing.
Okay.
Him to engage in it. And I guess she wants someone with more like machismo.
Assertiveness.
Mm-hmm. Something, because she's like, he's not even mysterious. I'm like, what do you really want from this guy? This guy, he seems to be a really nice guy.
What Katie wants is whatever ex she's still thinking about that keeps coming up in these episodes. She's looking for that personality who she's really attracted to. Mm-hmm. That's what I think she's looking for, and I don't think that Derek is matching up to that, but she wants Derek or someone, him or whoever, to tell her that they're in love with her. Mm-hmm. So that's what the problem is. She's looking for something in Derek that she's really has her heart maybe with someone else.
Yeah, she seems to think that's a red flag, and her friends seem to think it's a red flag because her friends know Katie.
Right.
And they're like, well, it probably won't work out because he's not doing what she wants.
And I think that's one of the reasons why that she didn't want Derek's only friend in the room. The female friend.
Yeah.
I think so.
So at the end of the episode, we go back to Taylor and
Brandon.
I want to call him Michael for some reason. I don't know why. I'm not good with names. So sorry for that in advance.
I think with the different shows that we watch, there's a bunch of Michaels on different shows, so you might get confused. But it's Brandon.
So they're basically just talking about their whole night, their whole housewarming thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, you know, going back to the conversation about how they're trying to move forward and whatever. And Brandon's just doing his thing, like really not paying her any attention.
He's just cleaning up. Mm-hmm, he's cleaning up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whatever you want. And she's like, basically like, are you even paying attention to me or what I'm saying? You know, I don't want it to always be whatever I want. It's us, a partnership. So like.
Well, they are cleaning up, and Brandon, I don't care what anyone says, Brandon's feelings are still hurt. He's still feeling a type of way. He is. And now that he knows that Taylor was talking to her friends about the things that was going on, probably more in depth than he even let his aunt know, he's feeling a type of way now that everyone's gone. See, now he doesn't know how to, now here's your word, engage with Taylor. He doesn't know how to because they have been separated. Remember, they're sleeping in separate rooms, so they're trying to find a middle ground, and only really Taylor is giving the most effort.
So then we go back to Mindy's house. So Mindy has all her friends over, they're talking, and Mindy's friends are like, oh, we just feel like Zach needs to try harder.
But here's the thing, it's not just Zach. Now they nickname Zach to Zach. They're like, he spells it weird. Zach. Actually, I've seen Zach spelled Z-A-C-H.
I thought it was always spelled Z-A-C-H.
Zach? I think sometimes the popular version could be Z-A-C-K.
Oh, I usually always spell it Z-A-C-H.
Well, now they call him Zach. But anyway, go ahead.
And then Mindy was like, well, I invited him over. And so now they're all irritated. And I would be irritated too, but you know, you do want him to try harder, so this is his chance. So he comes over, brings some wine, and one of her friends is like, oh, so this is what he calls trying.
Well, yeah, true, he brought wine, but at the same time, he's looking for wine. I'm like, what?
No, he brought extra wine because he left that there. He's going to leave it there, so he has a reason to come back.
Right, that's what he said. He goes, at least I have a reason to come back. I'm like, really?
Are you guys just meeting or something?
Right.
Well, they are just meeting, but you're married. This is your house.
True.
That this show pays for.
True.
So you don't need a reason to come back. You live here, technically, for the next 2 months.
And then he mentions, you know, oh, I like the area. I like
10 minutes from my house. You know, like there's a little, like a club or a lounge that he goes to frequently.
Yeah, like, it's nice. I like the area. I like
like he's about to have another happy hour from 5 to 7. That's another happy hour time.
Zach, what are you doing? If you don't...
So we wrap up the episode with Derek and Katie, and they're just basically laying in bed. And she was like, oh, well, what's something new that you learned about me? And to be honest, I didn't even hear what he said. Because it wasn't nothing to me. Do you remember?
Just pretty much that they were their friends think they're compatible. And they could see why they were matched. You know, so... And then vice versa, Derek asked the same. Mm-hmm. And she got the same response.
The only thing that stuck out to me was when Derek was like, oh, well, you know, I don't get any red flags from her. But I'm just like, well, she gets some red flags from you, so why aren't they talking about it?
Right.
Well, at least she bringing up the concern.
True. Well, I think they will in the next episode, because the next episode looks like it's going to be different little concerns that come up with every couple, even the ones who think that they're doing the best.
Well, on that note, that's the end of the episode. I want to thank you guys for watching our third video.
Thank you.
Still working out the kinks. The music might be too loud. I might not be talking loud enough. I usually don't talk loud enough. I done misspelled some people's names, child, but we gonna get there. Until next time, live simply.